And I'm the Assistant Principal Athletic Activities Director here at Wilsonville High School. And we are excited and feel honored to take time to recognize some accomplishments and achievements by some of our student athletes. And normally we would have staff members here, coaches, counselors, other friends, but we're making the most of what we have and just appreciate you guys here on Abby Maoz. And Abby, I can share that the family had already come into the gym and checked out the record board. I think the first time I ever talked to Abby was for a sophomore journalism assignment. She wanted to interview me about how do we get better at honoring and recognizing other programs. And I remember the conversation, it's like, okay, record board. Most of the time you see them at swimming pools, we talked about that, and we could probably do one here. And I think I asked her about the name of the finalists in the wrestling tournament, she couldn't name them, and it's like, yeah, how do we recognize, as a school community? But ever since then, her calm, quiet, determined effort, and dedication to whatever she was involved with the WBN, Honor Society, and to her education, and obviously respect and love for her family. And the coaches, I talked to Deb Mandeville, her coach, or she's texted me. Great teammate, cared about the success of the team beyond just her own goals. And the underclassmen, always looked to her as the example for work, hard work, and determination. And so Abby, congratulations to you. Great student, great athlete, great person. And congratulations.
Speechless. When Abby was 9, she started crying and said, I wish I knew what my talent was. She tried everything. Tennis didn't work. We realized she can move her body very, very fast in a repeated motion. Give her some equipment, balls, a racket, it didn't work. So she had swim lessons at the JCC in Connecticut, and there was a swim coach there who kept looking at her, and he said, she's going to be a really good swimmer. You should put her on a team. But Mike and I were not swimmers. We didn't know anything about the sport. And Abby wouldn't even put her face in the water until she was 8.5, so we sort of didn't think of swimming for her. But then that day she came crying to me and said she wished she knew what her talent was. I said, well, do you remember that guy at the JCC? Maybe we can find a swim team to try. And so it turned out there was one in our town in Connecticut, and I brought Abby there, and about 3 months later, the coach there said, if she enjoys this sport, she's going to go really far. And I've been coaching for 30 years, all the way from California, Connecticut, and different places in between. So don't let her quit. And then, only one time did she kind of want to quit. That was when she missed the cut for some meet she wanted to go to that her friends were going to, and she was about 11, and she cried and cried publicly for 30 minutes, and at home she cried, and every day for a full week I went into her bathroom and she's looking in the mirror and crying. So I said, Abby, you have two choices. You can either start going to practice every day instead of just a couple of times a week, or just forget about it. But you can't just cry about it. So starting the next day, she went to practice every day, and I don't think she's missed a practice since, not even the day she had to get a root canal. She still went to practice. That was what the choice she made. She went every day. And then she started making cuts for big meets and traveling all over. And I thought I had it good. I got a swimsuit when she was 9 and goggles. And I looked at my hockey mom friends with the $1,000 big bags. lugging around. And I said, oh, I really lucked out, you guys. This is all I had to buy. Little did I know what was to come. And then the summer before Abby's junior year, we were at a professional swim meet that she had qualified and decided to go swim in California. And then she's our oldest kid, and Mike and I weren't college athletes. We didn't know what was going on. But then in the morning, we woke up before she went to swim, and she said, Mom, I've got 42 emails from college coaches, all that came in at 12:01 after midnight. It's like, what is that? And then Abby's coach said, yeah, because recruiting opened up as of this date. So we started making a list of the schools, and we met with her coach and said, what schools do you think would be good for her? And her coach said, well, you know, the coach from LSU had come to Oregon to watch another swimmer. And he said, who's that girl? And I said, well, she's very young. You're not allowed to talk to her by NCAA rules, but I'll give you her name and you can talk to her when she's older. And that was Dave Geyer at LSU. And Abby went on several recruiting trips for schools in the Big Ten and the SEC. And the ultimate validation for, I think, was to go to the SEC. And when we got to Louisiana for her trip, I didn't see her break her smile for 72 hours. And I was wondering if her face hurt when we got home, because she didn't stop smiling for 72 hours. And I knew that's where she was going to go. And so I bought a shirt. And she came to my hotel room and saw the shirt, and she said, you bought a shirt. You know I'm going here, don't you? And then I think the next week, she told the coaches there that she would come. And here she is, and I'm so proud of you. I've never met another person so committed and determined and worked so hard in my life, and not just in swimming, in school too, and in everything. I love you, and good luck, and I can't wait to visit you in Louisiana. Go Tigers!
Just that everyone here and everyone on that Zoom call, I just couldn't be here without them. I don't know, swimming's hard.
Hey Abby, thanks for taking the time with us, and congratulations on your signing to LSU. It's talked about quite a bit, and I know that you and I have talked about it recently, that the schedule that you have each day is unbelievable. It's one that's hard to comprehend. It includes waking up as early as like 4 driving up to, places like Vancouver or Tigard or Portland, to go get practice in, and then you have some dry land training, and then you have more practice and school and CrossFit and all these things getting you better. So can you just talk about the drive for that and sort of why you're motivated to stay on that schedule?
I guess I'll start by saying, like, when I started swimming, I was, like, literally terrible. And I feel like seeing, like, a lot of people just move up and being friends with a lot of the older swimmers on my team in Connecticut kind of helped me see, like, where just going to practice every day and training super hard can, like, take you. And that is what opens up the opportunities ultimately. And I would just kind of watch them, and that really made me feel like, oh, if I go to practice, because I would go like once a week, twice a week if I felt like it. And then I was like, oh, if I start going every day and I start like really applying like drills and things like that, then I can go so far.
And then too, I wanted to ask you about the idea that you'll be leaving Oregon and moving on to LSU, because I know that you've sort of lived around the country and been able to travel around the country and see a lot of things, but why LSU?
Well, I guess I've lived in the Northeast, Northwest, Midwest, and I never lived in the South, so I guess that is one thing that's kind of cool. I feel like I could live there, and when I went there, first of all, it's warm, and I hate the cold, so that was a big thing. I checked the weather, and it's like 80 degrees, and it's November, so that's a win for me. But I don't know, everyone there is just so nice and so, like, down to earth, and everyone there when I was on my trip, just everyone had a smile on their face. Everyone was, like, super welcoming, and I don't know, just the culture down there is like super homey, and that's really what kind of drew me there.
And lastly, I wanted to touch on the fact that you're just one of the hardest workers, and you have an absolute motivation and drive from within that is hard to parallel, really. Kind of where that originated from, and how you will continue to be that way when you attend LSU.
Basically going to meets and then seeing how when I go a best time, or like I get a season record or whatever, and then I realized that like, oh, me driving home at 11 at night from Washington was really worth it, and just like the feeling after, like it really just shows how, like, I don't know how to phrase this, like, I don't know, just how it's all really worth it in the end, because if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be where I was.